Change is a theme of almost every election in our country. Both candidates for our country's highest office often present themselves to be real agents of change. And certainly it is a word that deeply resonates with us as human beings for a variety of different circumstances, for many different reasons. We can feel stuck, whether internationally or nationally or locally or even on a personal level. And when we feel stuck and when we feel trapped, we long for change. And for sure, the government has a not so insignificant role as an agent of change. So does the legal system. Government policies, the laws that are enacted, go a long way, or are supposed to go a long way, in presenting and providing and preserving the culture of life in a truly more human world. And it remains to be seen, and only time will tell, that the change that is longed for by so many will actually ever come about. But it is our task as Christians to pray for our country and to make this world a better place. But I would argue that given the solemnity that we are celebrating and what the readings are revealing to us, that there are two ultimate changes that all of humanity is longing for. And they're changes that neither politics, nor law, nor science, which is becoming disturbingly believed to be by so many more as a technological messiah, will ever be able to bring about. Only God can bring about these changes. And the first change is death. And the second change is the human heart, which, as I said in a homily a couple of weeks ago, isn't the seat of emotions, but it's the seat of decision-making. It's the very core or center of who we are as men and women. And today I want to focus our attention on one word that can be found in the gospel, but is really alluded to in all the readings we just heard. My apologies in advance to those who were at the 7 a.m. Mass this last Sunday. The gospel we just heard was the same one we heard from this last Sunday, so you might get a second dose of what I said on Sunday. This word I want to focus on is important, as I think it can help us better understand these two changes that only God can, and only God really wants to bring about. This one word is temple. And there are three different senses to this word temple that we get from each of our readings today. And the first reading from the prophet Nehemiah helps us to understand just the basic sense of the word temple. La palabra en la que quiero sentarme es importante, ya que creo que puede ayudarnos a comprender mejor este cambio que solo Dios puede y quiere lograr. Esta palabra es templo. Y hay tres sentidos diferentes en esta palabra templo que obtenemos de cada una de nuestras lecturas de hoy. La primera lectura del profeta Nehemías nos ayuda a comprender el sentido básico de la palabra templo. It's perhaps important for us to recall, call to mind that for the Jews in the Old and the New Testament, the temple was everything. It wasn't just a big building, it was huge, something like a fifth to two-fifths of the entire city of Jerusalem. It's a massive structure, and everything revolved around it, because everything is supposed to revolve around God. That's how sane, normal, intelligent people live. The temple was understood by the Jewish people to be the meeting place between God and humanity. And it was the visible sign of God's presence in the midst of the Jews. And in our reading, the prophet Nehemiah is working to rebuild the temple after it was destroyed the first time, and the Jews were finally able to come back from their exile. Nehemiah is giving the people hope again that one day the temple will be back and life can return to normal. But that is only the first sense of the word temple. It was only a foreshadowing of the true and ultimate sense of the word temple, which the gospel speaks about, and for which the ancient Israelites truly longed for. El templo fue entendido por el pueblo judío para ser el lugar de reunión entre la humanidad y Dios, y fue el signo visible de la presencia de Dios en medio de los judíos. Pero es un solo primer sentido de la palabra templo. Era solo un presagio del sentido verdadero y último de la palabra templo, de la que habla nuestro evangelio y para los cuales los antiguos israelitas anhelaban. And the ultimate sense of the word temple has to do with the ultimate meeting place between God and humanity. And the ultimate meeting place between God and humanity is Jesus. Jesus was not just a prophet. He was not just a good man. His enemies who killed him clearly understood that he was claiming to be neither of those. That's why they killed him. Jesus was and is God in the flesh. And he became flesh to break the cycle that most needs to be broken. And the cycle that most needs to be broken is death. In fact, if death is not broken, if the cycle of death is not destroyed, then what you and I are doing in our daily lives is the equivalent of like polishing brass on the Titanic. But the cycle of death has been broken. Jesus has forever destroyed the power of death. That's precisely what he did. That's why he says to the leaders in the gospel who challenged him for driving out the money changers, destroy this temple and in 3 days I will raise it up. He wasn't talking about a building. He was talking about himself. He was talking about his body. He was talking about its death and his resurrection. And he rose from the dead, not to show off, but for us. That happened for us. It's the only reason why you and I have hope that nothing, no external circumstance, can ever shake. Christ died. Christ is risen. Christ will come again. It's not just a song, it's a reality. And he's really done it. The cycle is destroyed. The power of death has been robbed. It's lost its sting. Jesus has transformed death into the doorway that leads to heaven. Y el último sentido de la palabra templo tiene que ver con el lugar de reunión final entre Dios y la humanidad, y el lugar de reunión final entre Dios y la humanidad es Jesús. Jesús no era solo un profeta, él no era solo un buen hombre. Sus enemigos que lo mataron claramente entienden que él estaba afirmando que no era de eso. Por eso lo mataron. Jesús era y es Dios en la carne. Y se convirtió en carne para destruir la muerte. Es por eso que le dice que los líderes en el evangelio que los desafían por expulsar a los cambiadores de dinero, destruye este templo y en 3 días lo levantaré. No estaba hablando de un edificio, él estaba hablando de sí mismo. Él estaba hablando de su cuerpo. Está hablando de su muerte y su resurrección. So given the fact that Jesus destroyed death, that's a reality, and given the fact that so many flock to hear agents of change that's not lasting, how can it be that this and every other church isn't full every Sunday to celebrate and rejoice and to give thanks for the change which the world longs for, the power of death being destroyed? And yet there's a third and final sense for the word temple, and a second meaning or a second change, ultimate change that we're longing for, and that this sense is found in the second reading from St. Paul, where he says that we are temples, dwelling places of God in the Spirit. In other words, when you and I were baptized, God began to dwell in us. You are inhabited by God. I am inhabited by God. That means that when other people see you and me, when we are they observe us at work, or at school, at play, at rest. They're supposed to see and meet God. That's no small task. And since the dedication 3 years ago, Father O'Brien has refocused our attention to that very task and mission here in Payne County. And that task can't happen unless this second and ultimate change happens. And the second and ultimate change that has to happen is simply this. We need, you need, I need a new heart. And only God can give it. Y sin embargo, no hay otro sentido de la palabra templo, y ese sentido se encuentra en la segunda lectura de San Pablo, donde dice que somos templos, habitantes de Dios en el Espíritu. En otras palabras, cuando tú y yo fuimos bautizados, Dios comenzó a morar en nosotros. Estás habitando por Dios. Estoy habitando por Dios. Esto significa que cuando otras personas te ven, me ven, cuando nos escuchan, cuando nos observan en el trabajo, en la escuela, en el descanso, se supone que deben ver y conocer a Dios. Eso no es una tarea pequeña, pero esa tarea no puede ocurrir a menos que por este segundo cambio final. Y el segundo cambio final que tiene que suceder es simplemente esto. Necesitamos un nuevo corazón. Y solo Dios puede darlo. Politics can't give me a new heart. Law can't command me to have a new heart. No scientific remedy can give me a new heart. Only God can give me a new heart. Only God can transform me. Only God can give me the strength to break from patterns and behaviors that I hate. Only God can give me the strength and the freedom that I crave to live a life of authenticity and integrity. Only God can give me the grace and the power that you and I both need to live the kind of lives that deep down we long to live. Only God can answer for us the three most important questions. Why am I here? Where am I going? And how do I get there? And he gives to us three sacraments in particular to help us: baptism, the Eucharist, and confession. He gives us these because they are the strongest medicines ever known, because they fill us with the power of Jesus' resurrection. They are the fulfillment of the law that the prophet Nehemiah proclaimed to the Jews in our first reading. The law is written on my heart and your heart. God can and wants to make your heart and mine fresh and living and free. Solo Dios puede responder por nosotros a las tres preguntas más importantes. ¿Por qué estoy aquí? ¿A dónde voy? ¿Y cómo llegó allá? Y nos da tres sacramentos en particular para ayudarnos: el bautismo, la Eucaristía y la confesión. Son los medicamentos más fuertes que se conocen porque nos llenan con el poder de la resurrección de Dios, de Jesús. Son el cumplimiento de la ley que Nehemías proclamó a los judíos en nuestra primera lectura. La ley está escrita en mi corazón, en tu corazón. Dios puede y quiere hacer que su corazón sea fresco y vivo y libre. In order for there to be peace in the world, there must be peace among nations. In order for there to be peace among nations, there must be peace in families. For there to be peace in families, there must be peace in the heart. My heart. Your heart. Let's thank the Lord tonight for his triumph over death that has broken the cycle of death. And let him give us new hearts, not only for our good, but for the good in the world in which we live.